The old man had lived alone for far too long. His ranch sat at the edge of the desert, where the wind never stopped whistling through broken fences and the nights carried the kind of silence that made loneliness echo louder than words. Folks in town only knew him as Elias, a weathered soul with silver hair, tired hands, and eyes that carried the weight of too many winters. He wasn't rich, not by most standards, but he had something rarer than money, a heart unwilling to watch cruelty without stepping in. One evening, while delivering grain to the market, Elias overheard a heated argument near the stock pens. It wasn't cattle being traded, it was women. Two young women, draped in dusty shawls, stood trembling while a man barked prices at strangers as if they were livestock. Their beauty was undeniable, but it wasn't what struck Elias most. It was the hopelessness in their eyes, the silent plea for someone, anyone, to see them as human instead of property. The bidders laughed and waved coins, but Elias's chest tightened with anger. He stepped forward, pulling out nearly every dollar he had saved, and placed it in the trader's greedy palm. No haggling, no second thought. Just a quiet declaration, "They're coming with me." The crowd jeered. Some mocked him, calling him a fool, too old for women that young. But Elias didn't care. He didn't buy them to own them. He bought them to free them. On the wagon ride home, the two women, Amara and Celine, sat in silence, watching him with suspicion. They didn't trust kindness. Life had taught them that every gesture came with a price. Elias broke the silence gently. "You're safe now. When we reach my land, you'll have choices. Stay, leave, build a new life, it's yours to decide. No man owns you anymore." For the first time that day, their shoulders loosened. Celine, the younger of the two, whispered, "Why would you do this? You don't even know us." Elias gave a tired smile. "Because once, long ago, someone did the same for me. And I never forgot." Over the next few weeks, the ranch changed. Where once silence hung heavy, now laughter flickered like lantern light. Amara tended the garden, coaxing green life from the dry soil. Celine mended clothes and brought color back to the old house with her sewing. They cooked together, sang while working, and for the first time in years, Elias felt alive. But despite the warmth growing between them, he kept a respectful distance. He reminded himself, "They are not mine. They are free." Yet, freedom is a strange thing. Sometimes, when the chains are cut away, the heart chooses where it wants to belong. One night, a storm swept across the desert. Lightning cracked the sky, and the old roof threatened to give way. Elias worked through the night to secure the barn, soaked to the bone, exhausted, until finally collapsing into a chair by the fire. The women, worried for him, sat beside him, drying his hands with cloth. In that quiet, vulnerable moment, Celine looked at him with eyes that no longer carried suspicion but something gentler, trust, perhaps even affection. Amara spoke first, her voice steady. "Elias, you don't see yourself the way we do. You think you're just an old man who rescued us. But to us, you're the only man who ever saw us as people. The only one who gave without taking." Elias shook his head. "I did what anyone should do." But Celine leaned closer. "No, you did what no one else dared. You didn't just free us, you gave us a home, a reason to smile again. And whether you believe it or not, that means everything." That night, under the storm's roar, something shifted. They weren't captives anymore, nor was Elias their savior. They were three souls who had been broken by life, now stitched together by compassion, kindness, and the rare kind of love that doesn't ask for permission, it simply grows. Days turned into months. Neighbors whispered about the strange household where two young women stayed with an old rancher. But gossip couldn't touch the truth. Elias never claimed ownership over them. Instead, the women chose to stay, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They cooked meals together, shared stories by firelight, and cared for one another like a family forged not by blood, but by choice. One spring morning, as wildflowers painted the hills, Elias stood watching the two women laughing in the field. His heart swelled with something he hadn't felt in years, not desire, but gratitude. Gratitude that in a world so harsh, they had found a pocket of peace, a place where kindness had rewritten fate. When Celine noticed him watching, she ran to him, breathless and smiling. "Don't stand so far away," she teased, slipping her hand into his weathered palm. Amara joined them, resting her head on his shoulder. And in that simple, quiet gesture, Elias realized something profound: he hadn't just saved them. They had saved him too, from loneliness, from despair, from fading away unseen. The townsfolk called them his concubines, unable to understand anything beyond their narrow view of the world. But labels didn't matter. What they shared wasn't scandal, it was sanctuary. Elias lived out his days not as a lonely old man, but as a man surrounded by laughter, by care, by love that defied convention. And when he looked back, he often thought, sometimes the greatest acts of kindness don't just free others, they free ourselves. In the end, the story wasn't about an old man who bought two women. It was about three lives bound by fate, healed by compassion, and transformed into something the world rarely understands but everyone secretly longs for: a love that chooses, not chains.